when I listen, I think it's also a kind of a skill how to listen and how do you. I don't know how it works exactly in your brain, but what I know in my situation is when I listen and I find something really cool, I immediately want to know what is it, what happened
Yeah,
there, and
right.
I jump to the piano or whatever to figure it out, and then I sort of it maybe stays in my brain until later, even years later, it comes out again.
Welcome to episode 125 of the Bass Shed Podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. All right, what's happening, folks? I hope everybody had an enjoyable Memorial Day weekend, at least for the listeners in America, that is. I did not barbecue. I did not go to the pool. I did not go to the beach. What I ended up doing was gig. I finished up that musical that I had been working on, and I played a quintet gig in Hollywood. I know a few episodes ago I had mentioned, maybe it was the last episode, but I've been working on designing and building a stand for the double bass. Right, I mentioned that I was in Phoenix a few weeks ago, putting those together with my father, and they took way too much time. So I was looking into getting a CNC machine, right? And for those not familiar with what a CNC machine is, a CNC machine is basically the robot that cuts wood, right? It would be the robot that cuts like electric bass bodies or something like that. CNC stands for computer numerical control. You use the template on software, and then the machine just deals with the template and cuts the wood automatically. It's pretty hip. I was looking to get one of those to kind of expedite the process of designing and building these stands. Then I heard my friend Jason Brown has one. Jason Brown is a fantastic bass player and a fantastic luthier who's been on the podcast before. And so I hit him up. I'm like, yo, man, I heard you got one of these CNC machines. Let me stop by your workshop, right? Let's just hang. I want to talk to you about what I'm doing here. So I go down there this past week and bring the prototype of my bass stand. And we check it out. We talk through some ideas about maybe how we could improve the design just a little bit. And it's a good thing. So it looks like we're going to be moving forward on knocking out these double bass stands. I will have more information about all that stuff at the bassshedacademy.org coming soon. Hopefully I'll have some pictures. I'm going to head back down there. He lives about an hour south of me, so I'm going to head back down there, I don't know, maybe next week or something. And but we're going to knock it out. We're going to have the robots do the work for us, right? The Elon Musk version of a bass stand. The Tesla bass stand. Yeah, so, the robots win again, folks. The robots win again. LemurMusic.com. Everything you need for the double bass can be found at LemurMusic.com. Shop their inventory of accessories, bows, basses, sheet music, whatever you need. Also, this just happened. I was down at Lemur last week. They are now carrying Fender electric basses. Most of us are probably familiar with the Fender product line, but Lemur Music, this is a new thing for them, right? They're getting into the electric. They have a wonderful assortment. They have the US stuff. They have some made in Mexico basses. They have some Squires for beginners. There's a lot of great things happening for the electric bass. Also down at Lemur Music. LemurMusic.com. Everything you need for the double bass.
Hi, this is Jerry Jamont. I want to tell you about my upcoming book of bass transcriptions, JJ's Jukebox Volume 1. This is a collection of over 15 of my bass lines in standard notation and tablature. They are accurately done here by Ryan Roberts of the Bass Shed Academy. Each transcription is accompanied by a video where I talk about what was happening during the recording session, how I got involved, and how I approached each song. Stop by the bassshedacademy.org to learn more about my book of transcriptions, JJ's Jukebox Volume 1, and purchase a signed copy of my memoirs, Make It Happen.
On the episode is JORIS TEEPE. JORIS TEEPE is an acoustic and electric bassist from Amsterdam and has lived in New York since 1982. He's led his own groups for over 30 years and recorded 22 CDs as a leader or co-leader and over 60 albums as a sideman. Arriving in New York in 1992 with just a bass and a suitcase, he took lessons with bassist Ron Carter, quickly met many musicians, and started to work a lot. A year later, he recorded his first CD with a band co-led by saxophonist Don Braden, featuring pianist Cyrus Chestnut, drummer Carl Allen, and trumpeter Tom Harrell. From that point, everything really took off for Joris, and he became a bassist in great demand. He's been working with the who's who in jazz such as Benny Golson, Rashid Ali, Billy Hart, and Randy Brecker. His longest stint was with Rashied Ali, who was John Coltrane's last drummer, with whom he recorded 5 albums and toured the world between 2000 and 2009. His longest stint was with Rashid Ali, who was John Coltrane's last drummer. He recorded 5 albums and toured the world between 2000 and 2009. Joris has a new recording out titled An American Dream Today, and here are some words that Joris had to say about the album. The American Dream Today is my 21st album as a co-leader. I composed the first 5 in 2010. I composed the music on the remaining tracks in 2022 for the Dutch Musicians Union. The American Dream Today is my 21st album as a co-leader. I composed the first 5 tracks in 2010, and I composed the music on the remaining tracks in 2022 for the Dutch Musicians Union for its 50th anniversary. The compositions here are strongly influenced by my 30-plus years in the New York jazz scene. They deal with topics that I think need to mention: fake news, the wealth of the 1%, polarization, etc. The compositions here are strongly influenced by my 30-plus years on the New York jazz scene, and they deal with topics I think need attention: fake news, the wealth of the 1%, polarization, etc. As musicians say, we need to melt down guns and use that metal for saxophone. I think is hilarious. With the music, I try to merge different cultures and vibes into cool sounds and swinging grooves. Music is the answer. It was great to have Joris on the podcast, and here it is. Here's my chat with New York and Amsterdam acoustic and electric bassist JORIS TEEPE.
I'm fine, man. Thanks. How are you? Where are you now?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
Yeah, how about you? Are you in New York or Amsterdam?
I'm in Amsterdam. I just arrived in Amsterdam a few days ago from New York.
What's got you in Amsterdam right now? You over there doing some gigs?
Yes, I am. The situation is that I've been living in New York since '92,
Mm-hmm.
and about 10 years ago, my wife said she doesn't like it anymore so much in New York. So I was panicking, like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? So now we have a house in Amsterdam and a house in New York,
Okay.
and I commute, and sometimes the family comes with me, and sometimes I'm alone in New York.
Okay. That's that seems like a pretty drastic commute. What's the flight?
7 hours.
Okay. It's basically, I mean, roughly about here to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that's not.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
You
There's
do
always
it. Go ahead.
there's always a jet lag, and
Yeah.
you know, but it's also, she works for the airline, so it's not expensive.
Oh man, that's a cool
Yeah.
circumstance.
Yeah, we worked it out.
Are you doing some playing while you're back in Amsterdam? You got some things
Yes.
lined up?
Yes, I got. Did you see my website and my
Yeah, I did.
schedule?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like April is insane.
Yeah.
And May, June, it's really busy. But this week I have 3 gigs only.
Okay.
Okay, and then do some teaching.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
You do a lot of like Zoom remote teaching, or you got some in-person students?
No, I have a job at the conservatory in Groningen.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of that school.
I haven't. No.
Are we recording already? Because this is maybe
Yeah.
interesting.
No. Yeah. We're going. I'll chop out some of
Okay.
the, me
Yeah.
talking about being up early stuff.
Okay. Okay, well, I mean, we jumped into stuff, but it doesn't matter. I was in New York for about 10 years. I got approached by that school if I wanted to be the head of the jazz department,
Oh, cool.
which I told them, no, I don't want to do that, because
Mhm.
I just joined Rashid Ali with his group, and it was a very exciting time in New York for me. we talked and I proposed them. I don't know why I did that, but I proposed them, well, I could do it if I could stay in New York and you fly me back and forth once in a while, and I can do mostly remote, like
Okay.
Skype.
Yeah.
Those days, Skype was the big thing.
Right.
Plus, I want to bring all my friends from New York, like every week, someone else
Sure.
to teach the whole jazz community, and they said yes to all that in
Yeah.
like hours. Like 4 hours later, they called me back. Yes, we will do it.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh my god,
What did I get myself into?
Yeah, yeah. But well, that's so that's been going on since 2001. Although 5 years ago, I sort of quit all the organizational and responsibilities and just deal with music now.
Okay.
I still teach the bass players and I teach composition,
Yeah.
and that's it. Nothing else. So because I'm too busy touring and playing, and you know,
Sure. Yeah, you wanted to
yeah,
pursue performing first. I totally get it.
yeah, yeah.
Do you get to curate the curriculum? I mean, for bass players, it's probably a lot of private students. But for
Yeah,
composition, do you have a say in the direction of the course?
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
For composition, it's totally how I want to do it. It's jazz composition only.
Okay.
And the bass players, of course, I just teach them. They just want to know. They have a lot of stuff to learn, so that's
Sure.
no problem. And I have a little bit. They consult me. I'm advising the rest of the curriculum, but I quit to be responsible for it. So if sometimes they don't ask my advice and they go really where I think they shouldn't go, but that's the flip side of
Yeah. An
when I said
institution.
that, when I told them I don't want to do this anymore. I want to just teach music, and the dean said to me like, "Oh, are you sure you want to give up all that power?" And I said, "Yes, I'm very sure."
Yeah, like, I'm happy.
Yeah,
Nice. I want to talk about, like, I know you studied with Ron, the maestro Ron
yeah,
Carter, when you got to New
yeah,
York, and there's a lot of stuff on your website talking about the harmony. I would definitely want to talk about that as it relates to playing in small group jazz and improvising harmonic shifts. But I also want to talk about it in relation to composition.
yeah.
So when you approach writing, do you conceive of harmony with options in mind of how you can manipulate the harmony in real time and you when you're playing?
Of course I do, but not only when I'm writing, maybe more even when I'm playing
Sure.
at the moment, and when you know when I'm just doing bass lines over chord
Mhm.
progressions, whether it's whatever type of music it is, even if it's blues or R&B or jazz or anything.
Right.
I'm always thinking of more in harmony than in bass notes or bass lines. Like I'm thinking more like a piano player.
Mhm.
Like, okay, what chord could fit there? You know, maybe an easy example is when you have a blues in C and the first chord is C7, and a lot of guitar players or piano players would play like, okay, C7, D flat 7, C7, da da da. That would be normal for them to play that.
Yeah.
But bass players don't consider that option so much. They think like, oh, the whole bar should be C7. So what notes can fit C7?
Right.
And I'm not into that. I'm really more into the harmony. Maybe that it comes from experience, I guess, mostly. Even what I practice with my students now is playing the melody in your bass line, or
Sure.
playing any kind of melody in your bass line, like making a more melodic thing than a comping thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about it for hours.
Well, let's maybe not multiple hours, but let's talk about it for parts of
Yeah.
hours. um, how do you approach introducing the concept of playing melodic bass lines to a student? So let's say the
Well,
student comes in, they have an understanding of chord scale relationships, and they're fine with that, and they can look at a tune and be like, yeah, I can get through all these changes. Then how do you get them to the point where you get them outside of just the chord and you're thinking, long phrases with the bass line and melodic phrases in their bass line?
Well, first it comes with knowing a few basic tricks, like um, if there's a 2-5-1, you can also leave the 2 out and just play 5 and 1.
Sure.
And that gives you another idea about, because you don't play the root of the 2, but maybe you start directly on the 5, which is similar as like making it a sus chord if the piano player plays the 2. So that's one trick that people should be aware of. And you can also do the opposite, like leave out the 5 and just play the 2 and then the 1. So those are very simple first steps to take. Another one is the tritone substitutes, of course. That's an easy one. Another one is delaying the 1, or so if you do 2-5-1, you do 2-5-1.
Yeah.
So the 5 is, I guess that as a bass player, as an advanced bass player, but a lot of bass players or beginners or medium beginners, they don't consider that, and people these days easily open their phones or iPads and read chord changes, which is really opening your eyes and closing your ears.
Yes.
So I always try to get them away from those machines. But in general, those are their basic steps to also you can do 2-5 and then flat 2-1, or the 1 you do a half step higher first and then do the 1.
Sure.
And so there's a few of those, like 4 or 5 things that you can start with to get the students aware of doing that. And that takes actually weeks, if not months, depends on how fast the students. Some people get it really fast, but some people, it takes them a long time to, every time they come in my lesson, they do it, and then they go out and play with their own friends and gigs and stuff. And they tell me, oh, when I'm on the gig, I don't think about that at all. I can't do that at the same time. So it's, there's so many things you have to think about at the same time. Some things have to be automatic. Like you don't think every time, should I play with 2 fingers or 1 finger on the right hand? After a while, you just do it,
Right.
So that's the same thing with this. Like after a while, you just know, like, okay, I can leave out the 5, or play tritone substitute. This becomes normal part of your language. So that it takes time for some people more than others.
I mean, with these approaches, you're teaching them not only harmonic ideas about how to navigate through a tune and progression and sequence, but you're also teaching them the freedom of the music, that you don't have to be boxed into this thing. Do you find that some students kind of latch on to that freedom more than others, like that some of the students really want to hold tight to the boundaries?
Yeah, totally. There's the thing, it's the same with composition. You can't say like, okay, be creative. It's something that has to be coming from inside you. You have to be that mindset of oh, we can do that. What about this? Like you have to be into it. And also I find it that when I play Latin music or more soul or other types of music, it's actually the same thing, and people don't think about that. Even in that world, it's even less that they think they can make their own lines. They just really play what the band leader told them to play or whatever,
Right. Or a version of what's on the record. Like you get enough of the bass line on the record, like you're 40% of that bass line, you think you know the tune, and
but if you listen to Jaco, of course, that's a great example. But if you listen to like other people who play not per se swing jazz, but other types of music, there's a lot of stuff that can make like little fills. There's great, great bass players do that, and they know that how to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You've released 22 records as a leader and co-leader. Um, on the bulk of your material, like I've checked it out. You really honor the tradition, and there's a lot of standards
yeah,
on the material.
yeah.
When you compose, what are some things that you use as inspiration for your own compositions?
Wow, that's a nice question. But I think you are influenced by everything you listen to,
Yeah.
and in one way or the other, it comes back when you start to get creative ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So um, even yeah, I try to, like, when I listen. I think it's also a kind of a skill how to listen, and how do you, I don't know how it works exactly in your brain, but what I know in my situation is when I listen and I find something really cool, I immediately want to know what is it, what happened
Yeah.
there, and
Right.
I jump to the piano or whatever to figure it out, and then I sort of, it maybe stays in my brain until later, even years later, it comes out again, or I get inspired and I kind of maybe keep that idea somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and then use it later. So I mean, composing and is stealing from other people.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. I mean, I know something that regularly inspires me when I write is visuals. Like uh I mean, man, now that I think about it, it's been a long time since I wrote that piece. But there's a piece I wrote about an Edgar Degas painting. The painting's titled Absinthe, and there's like a woman kind of hunched over in the painting, and she's the main character in the painting, but there's this guy to her left that was really, like, I was interested in that guy, and I'm trying to kind of investigate him and tell his story a little bit through this tune. And that was the inspiration for that one. Do you find inspiration from books or movies or other pieces of art that are released that get you to spark a creative juice that you want to reflect through music?
Not so much. It mostly comes from experience with playing with people or listening to others like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was very much intrigued by when I started to play with Rashid,
Sure.
um, and I couldn't figure out, like, how do those guys write such cool stuff that has no. That was a new world for me. Like, I wasn't into avant-garde or anything like that at all. But somehow it fell. It came on my way, and I embraced it. But when I listen to, like, how does Don Cherry write those cool melodies, or Nat
Mm-hmm.
Coleman, how he writes that was really amazing. And James Blood Elmer, he's a
Mm-hmm.
great, like a free jazz guitar player with great melodies. It's really a melodic approach that I never had thought of before.
Hmm.
So, for example, that's an example. Or when I first, I mean, this is many years ago when I first heard Jacko's album. Like, how did he get those ideas? It's amazing. Like, it's very much influenced by R&B,
Sure.
but but by jazz, by everything. So I guess it's the same thing for me. Like, I'm influenced by anything I listen to, and I try to mix it later and find cool things. And then later, when it gets to something, then I think of, like, this is more, like, I find a title, or sometimes I write lyrics to it, or for this, it fits to a certain project, and then maybe the association comes with whatever else is going on in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe a painting or a political situation. Like, I call, like, in this new record, I called one tune Polarization, and another tune is called Fake News.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it reminds me of that ridiculous uh, idea of
Sure.
putting out fake news to influence people. So
Right. Is there? I've never been to Amsterdam, so I haven't experienced that culture at all.
yeah.
How are there defining characteristics? I mean, of course, cats over there play different than New York. I mean, dudes in New York play different than anywhere else on the world. And the first time I was in New York, the music made sense to me. Like for the first time, like I
Yeah.
grew up listening to all the records we all came up listening to. But then the first time I was in New York, I'm like, oh, now
Right.
it makes sense.
Right.
How does Amsterdam? Let's start here. What's Amsterdam like, and how is that music? How's that culture reflected in the music there? And how do those dudes play jazz there?
Well, obviously, I wasn't into it so much, and that's why I left and went to
Yeah,
when I had the same thing when I came to New York. I was like, wow, now I'm home.
yeah, right. I
I
got
felt
that
this,
first feeling. Like I
yeah,
was staying in Harlem, but I'm like, yeah, this feels so natural to me.
when was that?
Oh, that was I was only there for a few days. But that was a while ago. That was maybe '09 was the first time I was there.
Okay.
And then I went back there a couple years later on a tour to play at the Beacon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I haven't been back since.
Well, no, for me it was 1992, when I was 28, 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, finally I know where I want to be and
Yeah,
who I want to be around. You surround yourself with people that you want to be with and that inspire you, and that was totally happening there.
sure.
I kind of said goodbye to Amsterdam, not consciously. I didn't have that feeling at all when I was in Amsterdam. So I felt it more like, okay, this is a place where I can go be safe. It's a safe place to go back to when I want to, or stay connected and do some gigs with my friends from before.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel the inspiration. And until this day, I mean, I play with some people from local people, but not too many.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly I play with people that I know through New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there's of course there's a few great cats to play with, but it's just you know like small
Yeah. Yeah.
small group of people, like 20, 30 people, and not hundreds like in New York.
Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, there's a ton of great musicians here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great musicians in Los Angeles. I think the ones that I really like playing with is the small. It's smaller. There's just people that you could just link up with, and it's pretty natural.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like anybody else. And then there's others where it's like, okay, you sound good, but somehow like the connectivity of it doesn't work out the same.
Yeah. Same for me. Exactly. Yeah.
But you mentioned playing with Rashid Ali and him opening up this whole new thing of the avant-garde. How did this challenge your concept of the role of the bass within the avant-garde? And then, well, let's start there. How did that, maybe challenge isn't the right word. How did that help shape your understanding of the role of the bass?
Yeah, I was very conscious about that at that time, even, and still when I look back at it. I think before I was into that, I met Rashid, I got into that world. I was very much trying to play as good as possible, play the right things, just play as great as I could and everything, and play the right things that fit to each situation as far as technical things and harmony and melody, and like most people approach music.
Yeah.
But after that, he told me, like, man, those things don't matter at all. Like, it's just about how you feel and what shape you want to, what vibe you want to bring to the
Hmm.
bandstand. It doesn't matter if you play any wrong notes, or if the beat, you let go of the beat, or anything. Like, it's more about like energy, or
or
no energy,
yeah,
or or whatever, that kind of shape, and vibe that comes to the band, to the music. That's all that matters, and we don't even need chord changes sometimes, or we don't need rhythms, and still can get something real cool going on.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, really? Like, how does that work? And that's just how they did it. And I kind of, it really changed me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I still want to play, like, if I play a groove, I want it to groove, and
Yeah,
I don't want to drop beats and miss cues, or play the wrong changes, or play out of tune, or all those technical things.
sure.
That's still important, but there's another level of importance,
Mm-hmm.
more, maybe more spiritual, or more like a intensity,
Yeah,
like that came with that approach, that I was like made much more aware of than I was before that.
yeah.
So it was a really enrichment for me to, there's like a JORIS Tape before and after I met Rashied Ali.
To
Yeah.
that's cool. I like that. To like continue down that path and mature those ideas within yourself. Um, Besides playing it regularly with Rashied, did you get into some other things to like on the side? Did you get into a spiritual practice or some kind of emotional awareness training to really, learn how to open up and access some new things within yourself?
Um, Not per se as well. I was doing yoga at the time.
Okay.
Maybe that was more my my spiritual moment in a week, or one or two times a week.
Yeah.
But but especially in the music, maybe not in my daily life, but in the music, it really changed me.
Yeah.
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 And also in how I think about music, and how I think about what it can do to people. Like,
Sure.
if you like how you communicate with audience, if you are really honest to on stage, then your message comes across, and it doesn't. It's not a show, like people call it a show, but it shouldn't be a show. It's more like, you know, you're there with your own character,
Yeah.
and people can like it or not.
Yeah. It's
You,
like a
you
TED
can't
talk.
really, yeah, you can't really play someone else. Like, you
Right.
can't play to be cool. You're cooler and not cool.
Mm-hmm. Right. I
So,
remember when I first got to Los Angeles, I studied with Alfonso Johnson for a little while, and him and
hmm,
I would talk about ideas like that. About we would talk kind of, I think, more about some conceptual things more than, here's how to do something on the instrument. There's a lot of value in that for
yeah.
me when I was like, I don't know, 24. Um yeah, I think that stuff, those are some of the bigger lessons, and more necessary, I think, at times than this finger here and, play that note like this. How did understanding that type of freedom, you brought that into playing tunes, standards or tunes with harmony, and that's less quote unquote free, where you're playing more of a traditional role on the instrument. How did that translation, how did you bring that into a more traditional role of the bass?
Um, well, I think it gets you really on a higher level
Mhm.
musically, because and that also, you need to be with people who understand that same thing, who are not, if people say, like, okay, take three choruses, it's like, well, why? Maybe I have enough with one chorus, or
Yeah.
how, that's really, so you need to have people that understand how to work that way.
We'll be back right after this.
Right, the middle of this show, features are brought to you by the International Society of Bassists, commonly referred to as ISB. Stop by isbworldoffice.com for everything you need to know about latest news, happening, events, what have you. Information on players, albums, all kinds of wonderful things. isbworldoffice.com. Folks, for listeners that have been with me since the early days of the podcast, my guest on episode number 5 was Gary Wicks. Gary Wicks now has a new group titled Is That You? The band Is That You has a new EP out. EP is a collection of 4 cinematic instrumentals with nods to 70s funk, and it also incorporates modern electronic elements. It has this overarching feel of just like throwback crime story music. You'll know what I mean when you listen to it. You absolutely should. EP Split 5 Ways is really killing. I hope you all take a few minutes to check it out. It is on all the major streaming platforms. I will have a link to it in the show notes. Again, the group is titled Is That You? And their debut EP is titled Split 5 Ways. Check it out. Folks, I got to let you know about a new podcast I've been digging on, the Craft Brewed Music Podcast. This podcast presents interviews for serious listeners, drawn from and inspired by boutique craft brewed music discovery app. Some of the world's greatest and off the beaten path musicians discuss their work. Hosted by Craft Brewed Music founder Brian Horner and Craft Brewed Music artist Aaron Stamen. The podcast is produced twice monthly. Subscribe to the show wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts and check out craftbrewedmusic.com.
Excellent, sir.
And so, but what was your question? I'm sorry, I forgot.
just bringing that, bringing this, focused on the energy and the vibe and creating an atmosphere through the music. How you brought that into playing, just a standard. If you're playing standard X, and then especially if we couple that with what we talked about earlier with the harmonic innovation that you're doing, like how do you kind of bring all those worlds together?
Well, it's actually, I saw later, I discovered later, like if you listen to great bass players like Buster Williams, like someone you can recognize right away that it's him, or Ron Carter too, actually. There's a lot of guys that you can, they have their own personality. So I think it shaped my personality. Like there's a certain way that certain way style or certain approach that I bring to the band, or to the bandstand. That's how I play, and it's still it works in every situation. It's just like a personality that you bring, but it doesn't mean that you play really different things. It's more, I still play the same chord changes, but maybe I use a more melodic way, or I use pedals where other people wouldn't do that, or I use rhythmic figures that are like, it's still swinging and grooving with the drums, but I play other rhythmic figures that come up with those ideas too, in order to, it's not to try to, it's trying to lift the whole performance of the whole group. It's not that I have to do my agenda and push that. It's not at all like that.
Yeah. I agree with all those things, and those, when playing and you're looking to, not in a combative way, but you're looking to push, the group or a soloist in a direction, like you hear them going this way and you're trying to be like, cool, let me kind of push that way. As I'm sure it's a drag when they don't bite. It's the worst, and it's maybe they hear what you're doing, but they're forcing their thing, and that's a drag, and it's really difficult for me a lot of times not to check out. Like, whatever, dude. Like, you're not in this for like a group situation, like whatever, man. How do you deal with those things when you're, maybe doing some things that'll suspend the beat or create tension in different ways within the beat, to inspire a direction, either through the beat or harmony, and they're just not, I don't want to say going with you, but they're not playing as a whole.
No, I think making music together is a form of communication.
Agreed. Yeah.
And so if someone is open to communicate with each other, then you can have a great conversation, or you can have a great musical performance.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is only pushing his own thing and not listening to whatever else other guys are bringing to the table, then it's a drag, and it's not
Drag.
fun.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do to that than wait until the gig is over.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but I mean, the thing is, that's also why I wanted to be in New York. I think it's or I want to play with good people wherever they are.
Mm-hmm.
Is people that are open-minded as far as playing together and communicating. And it's not only in jazz music. That's what I keep trying to say. Like it's any kind of music.
Yeah. I agree that it's not just, these things aren't specific to jazz at all.
It's an example, and a stereotype comment is like, oh, the singer, she wants to, like, you even say like it's not a man but a woman, but whatever. The singer sing the melody and then go and get beer for the guys, and we'll play solos, and then at the end you can come back and sing the melody one more time.
Yeah.
That type, that's far behind me. I think I really want to have fun with the singer, and there's a lot of singers who can deal with that and who understand that concept, but some less advanced musicians, whether they're singers or not, are not aware of that yet. Mm-hmm. So if you can open their minds, that's great. Or if it's students that are willing to learn, but if it's professionals who are unwilling to change and learn, then it's just not interesting.
Sure. You do, I saw on your website, you do have busy April coming up. There's a record you're doing, right? You just did the record and you're doing a little tour for it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing. I did a record with Billy Hart and Johannes Anders, a trio album. Is that what you mean? Or I did many records actually lately.
Okay, well, let's talk about them all. I thought I just saw the one. What's the latest recording that you've done?
The last month I did Steve Johns' album, the drummer Steve Johns, who played with Stanley Turrentine and Billy Taylor and Mingus Band and etc. He's a New York guy. Mm-hmm. And he had John Hart and Monty Croft. John Hart, guitar player who's teaching in Miami now. Mm-hmm. Monty Croft and John and Monty both play with Brian Blade's group. Maybe you know. Greg Murphy was the piano player who was my friend from Rashid Ali's days.
Okay.
So I did. That's the album I did. That was last month for Steeplechase.
Okay.
And then I did another one for Timeless. These are all sideman albums. Mm-hmm. So for Timeless, I did Steve Nelson's albums. Five player Steve Nelson, who played with Dave Holland and
yeah.
You know who he is, yeah. And that's the first time he did a trio album with just bass and drums.
Okay.
And so vibes. So he plays. So I had a lot of. And we just played like Satin Doll, Autumn Leaves.
Okay.
Soft Leaves in the Morning Sunrise. Oh, not Autumn Leaves actually. Softly we did, and we did like 16 tunes in 5 hours.
Okay. Just like showing up to the studio calling tunes.
Right. Okay. I mean, we did some gigs with the trio before.
Yeah, but for the recording date, it wasn't like major arrangements or original music or anything.
He just starts playing, and you better follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, since there's no piano and he plays melodies, and I can really use all that stuff like really nicely. Like I want to. It's coming out on Timeless. I think next week.
Okay.
Timeless Records, and we have a CD release party when Steve is back in Amsterdam on April 1st.
Okay.
Steve, he's now in Spain touring with someone else. I don't know who with, but yeah. So that's an album I did. I did that one with Billy Hart and Johannes Anders. Johannes is a German saxophone player, sort of the Chris Potter of Germany, so you could say.
That's just a horn trio.
Yeah,
personnel.
Yeah. Another thing where there was no piano or guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I like that situation. Yeah.
Me too, actually. But I do want to hear your approach to playing in a personnel like that, where you have all this freedom, harmonically specifically, or to abandon harmony and just take it somewhere completely different. Obviously, it would all depend on the people you're playing with, and the synergy that those people have together. For this specific trio, how do you approach playing in that trio?
This is a tribute to Pharoah Sanders.
Okay.
So we don't really play Pharoah's music, but Billy Hart was with Pharoah for a long time, and it's more the vibe of that music. There's normal melody and chord changes, and then improvise over those.
Okay.
So it's not free stuff, and just keep the form and all that stuff. But I mean, if it says 8 bars C minor, it's like, wow, that's so much possible for if you have no piano player and he's improvising over C minor, and what bass notes I put against him. It's really fun to that's you really communicate, but at the same time, the way you set the vibe will influence the way Billy will play the cymbals and the drums and all that stuff, and so you really create it. It's nice to do with only 3 people. But I mean, it's the same thing if you play a piano trio, like piano, bass, and drums. But I mean, if it's 3 people, it's easier, or even 2 people. I made a duo album with a great piano player from Amsterdam, actually.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's 2 people. Like we have a conversation, you and me. But if there was like 16 people here in the studio talking to each other, there would be you have less room to say your thing or to. But it could also be great. So it doesn't really matter actually what instruments there are. If it's piano or saxophone that I play with. Of course, saxophone plays only 1 note at a time, and piano player plays chords. But a piano player can really be open to if he plays a C minor, but I play a F, then it sounds like a F7, no matter how hard he tries to play C minor.
right. Yeah. So, yeah, you put an A flat underneath him, it changes the whole thing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think I enjoy the horn player thing because, I mean, specifically in this context, we're talking about piano and horn. Piano is just such a complete instrument. I mean, you have it all right there, and the range of that instrument is bigger, and broader than that of a horn of any register, so they just can cover more ground, not harmonically, melodically, register wise. Like, it's a complete instrument, whereas a horn, it has limitations, and so like creates a different space.
Yeah, I did a big band record with all my own music, and I wrote and arranged everything.
Okay.
And it's all New York guys.
Yeah.
This is actually a nice story. Like when we were in the studio, we did like 6 gigs in 1 week in New York.
Okay.
Around New York, in and around New York. I called the guys. I said, "Guys, I have a tour, but you're gonna sleep in your own bed every night."
Sounds like the best.
Yeah, so we did six gigs, like some bigger clubs and some like just jive things to fill up the week. And then the 7th day, I booked the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the work was writing the music. But when we played it, still within the big band, there was a lot of freedom.
Sure.
I mean, there's certain riffs and certain things that we cue, and there's a lot of improvisation. It was different every night. And when we got in the studio at that week, I think a few days before, I talked to Rashied and I told him about it. I mean, he knew about it, but he asked me how's it going, and I said, "Man, there's one tune that is also in your book," because he liked in the book of his band, he liked to have tunes by the members, and there was a couple, like 3 or 4 of my tunes were in the book, and that one I arranged for a big band, and I said, "Man, would you like to play on that tune?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, sure, it's fine." Yeah, and it's the only I think the only tune that he ever recorded with big band.
Okay.
So he came into the studio at the end of the day, and the horn players, especially the trumpet section, they were like having lips problems after playing all day. And then this tune was a slow tune with many long notes for the brass section, high notes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't love this. They don't love this at the end. Yeah, right.
Plus, there was no time really. I mean, we didn't really count it off, and it was just like you feel where we go.
Okay.
Like a kind of free avant-garde big band arrangement, kind of. And so we did one take, and Rashied and I played that tune with his band so many times, and it didn't really have that. The horn players didn't get it.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do. So it was like heavy New York, like Mike Mossman, who's like lead trumpet, and all the guys from the Mel Lewis, Village Vanguard, those guys in the trombone section, and people like that. So Rashied said, like, "We got to do this again." You know, like he had these big sunglasses on, and because he had, people thought he was just like a tough motherfucker, or like even when he walked in the studio, it's like the whole vibe changed.
Right.
His
presence,
his presence, and but it was because he has eye problem that he had needed to wear. Anyway, so he went to the booth where the trumpets were, and he said, "We got to do this again." And they were, "Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. So we did it again, and then it became that was the best tune on the album. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Almost Lucky. If you get time, if you have time to.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. What when was that released?
2009, I think.
Okay.
And Gene Jackson was the drummer in the rest of the tunes. Who played with Herbie and Dave Holland.
Sure.
And he said, "Oh, I'm glad to give the seat to Mr. Ali," and he sat next to him, and he was like totally, he couldn't believe what just happened.
That's a very cool story. And so was it after Rashied just spoke with the horns? Was it like the next take, or did it take a couple tries for them still to lock in?
We only did 2 takes because they didn't have the lips to do anything else.
Okay. They had to nail it.
But they got it. They totally got it. That he's the way he said. I don't know what he told them, but they figured it out. Like it wasn't the vibe that he needed. He said, "Just listen to me, just follow me," and he led them through the tune.
Sure. How has playing in his band shaped you as a leader? Have you learned from how he does things like this, and like then how you speak to people, or really stand up for what you want the vision of the music to be in a different way from playing in his band?
Yeah, maybe the vision of the music, but not the way he is. I mean, he's such a unique. He was have you ever seen him live, or
no? I haven't.
Maybe videos with Coltrane, or
I'm sure I've seen videos in general. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, he was in that group with Alice Coltrane after McCoy left the band, and I think the way he was is like, you can't be like that, you know. he's just like Rashid Ali. You can't be
Yeah,
like him.
that's just yeah, right.
But I mean, I learned a lot about life and about music from him. Like
Yeah.
he would just play. He would play the first solo after we played some hip melody, and he would take the first solo on the drums, and he would take a solo like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then he would cue us to come back, and we were just so much into listening to his solo, we totally forgot what tune we were playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool though. That's cool.
Or we would just we were scheduled on a festival. Maybe the Yellow Jackets were before us, and after us was like Kenny Barron Trio or something.
Okay.
And then we would come on stage, and he wouldn't tell us what. He would just start playing. He wouldn't even say what tunes we would do, and we just follow him. And it wasn't free jazz. There was certain tunes, but he would just trust that we knew what to do.
Yeah.
It was very cool. Yeah.
When did you join his group again?
2000 until he died in 2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice amount of time to spend with someone with that connection to the history.
Yeah, he would even like not take gigs, or if I wasn't available. Like we were so much bass and drums. We were like really.
That was the unit. So you mentioned those two records, the one on Steeplechase and the one on Timeless Records. Is there others that are in the queue to be released?
Well, my own album, that's why we met actually. That's going to be out in a few weeks. I think April 6 or 7, something like that. They don't know exactly when they release it, but the first tune is out already.
Okay.
Shoeshine. Maybe you heard Shoeshine.
That's out on all the platforms for the listener of the podcast here.
It's on Planet Arts, which is an American label that also does a lot of stuff with the Village Vanguard Orchestra for many years. And they are releasing it on all the platforms. It's also going to be printed on vinyl.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I always like that. Do you listen to records on vinyl? Do you have a vinyl player?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, me too. I love that experience. I know. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and he's considering getting his album, put on vinyl. He's like, man, I heard this statistic that people buy the vinyl even if they don't have a player because they like the vinyl. I'm like, that's hilarious. I think they should get a player because listening to the vinyl is a whole different experience. But yeah, let's talk about this record that's coming out. Instrumentation.
It's a sextet.
Okay.
And it's only original music.
Excuse me.
It's only original music, and it's kind of 2 suites. Like I wrote 1 suite for a festival assignment that I got about The Hague, the city where I was born, which is about 1 hour away from Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. And they had a festival, and they assigned me to write a suite for that. That was in 2010. That I never recorded that music, and I listened back to it. I was like, man, I should do something with this. So is it side A or side B? Side B is another suite.
Okay.
That I wrote for the union, the musicians union in Amsterdam. They for their 50th anniversary. Okay. So it was also sort of some kind of assignment.
Yeah.
So side A and side B are 2 suites. Okay. And the instrumentation is 2 saxophones and trumpet, and then piano, bass, and drums. Okay. And one of the saxophone players plays bass clarinet and flute as well, and they both play soprano as well, tenor and soprano.
Did you, because these are kind of to use the word you used, assignments about Amsterdam culture, did you use Amsterdam musicians or did you use New York players?
So yeah, on the gigs after I wrote that suite, I used Amsterdam musicians, but on the record I did everything in New York. So I used New York guys, but actually there's two, the one saxophone player and the trumpet player. They are Dutch guys who moved to New York.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
kind of a mix of, and the piano player is from Argentina.
okay.
Leo Genovese, he was with Esperanza Spalding, still plays with her, I think.
Okay. I didn't actually know that she was. I haven't heard her name in a while, so I didn't know what she was up to. Actually, it's good that she's still out there
Oh yeah,
performing.
she's a big star. Yeah,
Yeah, I just hadn't
yeah.
heard much about her.
She does stuff with Terry Lynn Carrington and like I don't know what else she does, but she does a lot of stuff. Yeah, her own
Okay,
group. Yeah.
cool. What is the name of the record with the two suites, and when is that
Yeah.
looking to come out?
It's called The American Dream Today.
Okay.
And one of the two, like I said, the two
Yeah.
titles, like, and there's also one is called "My Car Is Bigger Than Yours," and we're actually singing that too, all while we play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and live too. We all sing that live.
Okay.
And yeah, that's yeah. Basically, I just needed to have those that music was just in my computer waiting to be released. I mean, waiting to be recorded properly
Sure.
and released. You know, I wrote it for occasions, and I never did anything with it after we did the gigs.
Yeah, yeah. How long ago did you do the writing? I mean, I can kind of guess an
Well,
era that it came out of.
no, the first suite for The Hague was in
Oh yeah, the
2010.
suites. Okay.
Yeah, and the other one was last year,
Yeah.
2000, like just after Corona.
How many movements is each suite? Because I know
Five.
a
Five.
suite. Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Yes,
a lot.
five.
There's a lot of play in how many movements a suite can be.
It's 5 movements, and actually, I did on the concerts. We just played them all as one long
Okay.
thing, but on the album, I cut them in 5 pieces, and I released them with 5 different titles.
Okay. Okay.
But it's still better if you listen to the whole, like, 5 tunes in a row
Sure.
rather than one of
Right,
them.
because it's got one narrative.
Yeah.
Had you written suites before or multi-movement compositions?
Yes, I have. I did. Maybe the first time I did that was a record I did with Randy Brecker and Don Braden back in the 90s, where I wrote a piece that I called it "The Princess and the Monster." And it's like a fairy tale about a princess who, you know, and then the monster. No, you can kind of, as you listen, you can kind of make up your own story of it. But it's really it has a lot of movements.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did that piece. I recorded it on that album the first time, but then I also wrote it for it's also my big band album.
Okay.
And it's also performed with the Symphony Orchestra. Yeah. I think that's the first one I did on the Symphony Orchestra. I did more stuff with symphonic music, with the whole orchestra. I learned a bit to write for that. Basically, I'm good at all the ideas and the creative part, but then the technical part, like, okay, what parts should I give to the oboe and which
Right.
parts to
Just
the
orchestration.
yeah, that's I don't really know. I need help for that. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems interesting though. It seems, it seems really fascinating. Almost like what a record producer does these days, but you're doing it for a large ensemble.
Yeah, I did. The largest one I did was "Work, Work, Work," which is a tune about slavery and well, there's also lyrics to it. It was performed with a choir, a symphony orchestra, and a big
wow.
band. So there were like 120 people on stage, and John Clayton was the conductor.
Oh, wonderful.
and the Queen of the Netherlands came, and it was
Oh my
all
gosh,
big thing. Yeah, it was,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Then who does these orchestrations for your pieces? Is it
Well, I
project by
do,
project, or do you have
yeah.
someone that you trust?
Well, I trust Don Braden.
Okay.
Don, I don't know if you know his name, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
yeah, he's a saxophone player, and we did many. We've been playing together like more than 30 years.
Right.
A lot of writing together, a lot of performances, and we had this trio, the Trio of Liberty, where we did 2 albums now. I'm also in a bunch of his records, and he's on a bunch of my records.
Yeah.
And he's a great writer. He learned. He's really interested in different things than me. Like he likes studio engineering, which I have no interest in at all. I'm like okay, here you got my project. Please mix it for me.
Yeah.
And then yeah, but he's great at that stuff, and he has a studio at home. And he's also great in orchestration.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote for the Cosby Show,
Okay.
and for a bunch of other things. Like yeah,
Nice.
he wrote also a lot of big band music for his own projects. He didn't do a big band record yet, so he's always waiting. As I'm always teasing him, like, when are you gonna do your? I did mine already.
Yeah. Is the big band something you had wanted to do for a while? Like, had that been kind of in the back of your mind for a little bit?
Yes, I did. Well, it's actually also an interesting story, but kind of strange. Like I was asked by, so I told you about that school in Groningen where I worked for remotely from New York, but I came to the Netherlands every 6 weeks or so to manage that. And then they have in that city, they have a local symphony orchestra, and the artistic director approached me and said, like, well, we like to do a week with you one time. We do every week different projects. We would like to do your music. So can you write your tunes for symphony orchestra? And I don't know how. I don't want to say no, because it was a great opportunity. So I said yes, but then I was like, oh my God, how can I? So I asked Don, and we did it together, and wrote the whole repertoire, like 5 tunes, I think, because that was until the intermission. After the intermission, there was a different program, so we had to fill about an hour of music with my original music. And then I did that with my quartet, with Don and Gene Jackson and David Berkman, who's a great piano player, and the orchestra. So one person in the audience was there from Romania. And he approached me later and said, oh, I loved your concert. I love that music. And can we do a project with the Romania radio orchestra? And I said, sure.
Yeah.
And so that was like 3 months later would be the date. I would go to Romania for a week and work with the orchestra and then do a concert for the radio.
Okay.
And so I didn't really worry about it. I had my music, and and then as the date got sooner, we approached closer to the date. The producer called me and said, well, we are so happy that you're going to be conducting our orchestra. I said, conducting?
Wait a minute.
No,
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No. And then he said, well, this is not a symphony orchestra. This is our radio orchestra is a big band.
Okay.
And that was a new shock. Like, I don't have any music for a big band. I just have my quartet music, and I have it orchestrated for a symphony, but not for a big band.
Right.
He said, well, if you don't want, if you're just going to play bass and we do other things, then this is your fee. But if you're going to be the director conducting the band and we do your music, then this is your fee. It's like, well, okay,
Yeah.
I'll come back. I'll conduct.
It looks like I'm conducting.
So, but then I had like about 4 weeks left to change all the music
Oh, wow.
from symphony orchestra to big band. So I had to think about, okay, the violins, maybe that section can be played by the saxophone section, and then anyway. So
was it a lot of major reorchestrations, or was it just like giving like that violin parts to saxophones and
mostly that, yeah,
Okay.
mostly that. So it worked out, but I worked my ass off for a month
Sure.
to get that done. Yeah. And then we did it, and it was great. Abram Burton was the soloist. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know.
Abram Burton is one of the main saxophone players in New York now.
Okay.
He played with every Mingus band he's in now, and he did what's his name, Taylor.
I see.
No, Taylor. His last name is Taylor. He passed away already, but you have like Max Roach. He's a drummer, Max Roach.
Okay. I'll think of it. I'll think of it
Philly
when I'm
Joe,
not.
Philly Joe Jones, Max Roach, Elvin Jones, Tony Williams, and Taylor. Not Billy Taylor. I can't think of his name. I'll think of it at the end of before we split. Anyway, so we did the concert. We did the whole week in Romania. We did the concert with Abram, and then I went back to New York with a whole book of big band music.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I might as well.
Yeah, now I got it.
I got all the music. Let's just get some gigs in New York with big band.
Cool.
So that's how that started. Yeah.
Nice. What was the experience like doing the? It was this kind of like, I know the GRP big band, and so was it where they performed live on the radio, at least last I knew. Was this situation in Romania similar to that, where you're performing live on the radio with this music?
Yes, we did a concert for audience, but we spent a week in the studio.
Oh,
recording and rehearsing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's very cool. I don't know much about what's happening over there musically in Romania. Were they receptive to jazz and big band?
Oh, yeah, totally. There's a nice scene of it's a very small scene, but
Sure.
But there's a few Romanian guys that moved to New York, and they bring kind of their experience back to Romania. But yeah, it's very young. There's not so there's one person actually. His name is Mircea Tiberian. He's a piano player. He's now in his 70s, but he was the one who started. He knew about jazz, and he started teaching all the young people. And now those young people are in their 40s and 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're passing it. Yeah, so it starts to blossom. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. My wife is actually Romanian. We were supposed to. I was supposed to go for the first time over the summer, and we never. Other things happened, and we didn't make it. But I'm looking forward to getting back over there this summer to check it out.
Well, I'll be there playing this summer.
Great!
In the end of August.
Okay.
Like 4 gigs and a record.
Oh, that's cool. That. What's that record?
It's there's a drummer from Romania who organized everything, and Gabi Matei. He's a young kid actually, but a great player. And he's inviting me and Jim Rotundi from New York, and trumpet player, and I think it's Marko Černčec on piano, great piano player from Slovenia. Yeah, from Slovenia, who was in New York for a long time too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What's there's a handful of clubs over there then to go kind of
I think there's 2 festivals. There's 2 festivals that pay well, and then one concert in a club in Bucharest, but it doesn't pay so much.
Okay.
And then another smaller club, and then a studio date.
That's
Studio
cool.
day.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. Cool, man. Man, Joris, thanks for being on the podcast, man.
Yeah.
This has been a really fun talk.
Thanks for having me. Really,
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah.
Yo, this is Craig Gash. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on the Instagram, the YouTube.
Okay.
Leave us a comment.
All right. That was my talk with Joris Tepe. Again, his latest album is titled The American Dream Today. Stop by his website, joristepe.com. joristepe.com. Sorry, Joris. I'm an American, man. I screw up names. That's what we do. That's one of the stupid things we do. Stop by his website. That is joristepe.com. I will have links to his website in the show notes of this episode. So wherever you are listening to this episode, check out the show notes and click on his website to check out not only this album, but all the other albums that he's played on. The man is a bad dude, and it was great to have him on the podcast. That's all I got for this one, folks. That's all I got for this one. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you on the next one in a minute.